that they didn't need to delay any further and that they should begin. Angel instructed TaeSan to try and hit him with his shield, which was deemed feeble. Angel explained to him that there were innumerable skills in the labyrinth. Among them, those that could be earned simply with a single action were basic skills. If he wielded a sword, he would attain swordsmanship. If he wielded a shield, it would be shield arts, and if he wielded a spear, it would be spearmanship. The moment he wielded a weapon, he would receive the respective skill immediately. As the skill proficiency increased, his knowledge and acumen with the relevant weapon also improved. Therefore, it could be said that essentially all players had such skills. So a skill that combined all of these basic skills while not flashy was one he could boldly claim to be the most useful. It was called the Eric Weapon Arts. Even Levi enough, the goddess, had personally complimented him on it. This was the very skill he wished to teach him. Exhausted, he acknowledged the explanation, prompting a smile from Angel. Angel asked if he considered it pointless. He explained to Angel that just because the skills were combined, it didn't mean anything fundamentally changed. He thought that it might be different if it involved the main skills. But skills involving weapons would be pointless no matter how many he combined due to fundamental issues in the system. Angel asked him about his current added attack value, to which he replied that it was 1. Angel remarked that it was an adorable number and the total damage should amount to about 4. He agreed, since there was a base attack value. Angel activated his target lock, meaning he would receive all attacks with fixed damage. He clarified that it should be the shield's base attack and ordered him to make an attack as previously instructed. He grabbed his shield and thrust it at Angel, causing Angel to take 4 points of damage. Angel scratched his head, asking him if he really had to strike at his head, to which he calmly apologized. Angel tried to smile through his annoyance, telling him that this time he should attack him with his fists. TaeSan knew that Angel would be upset if he targeted the head again. He agreed and launched his fist towards Angel. He punched him in the chest, inflicting 2 points of damage. Angel, he asked him if he noticed what he was trying to illustrate, to which he asked to find all men to demonstrate how the damage varied depending on the weapon used to strike. Angel confirmed his understanding, commending him for catching on quickly. He explained that because of this factor, adventurers used a single weapon. For example, if he equipped both a +50 gauntlet and a +20 sword, when attacking with the sword, only the 20 attack would be utilized, and when striking with the gauntlet, only the 50 attack would be used. A combined damage of 70 would never occur. TaeSan asked Angel if it wasn't obvious and explained that if equipping 2 weapons combined their attack values, all players would equip themselves with a multitude of weapons. This was why they only used 1 main weapon and focused on raising proficiency, and that alone. Angel was satisfied with his explanation, but asked him if it didn't seem uncomfortable and inefficient to be able to use only a single type of weapon during combat. Angel explained to him that battling was something he did while risking his life, so obviously he would use his entire body during the process. Not just his weapon, he might strike with his arms or tackle, using his shoulders. TaeSan told Angel that during those moments, due to the system's mechanics, only the weakest damage value counted. He asked if there was no way around it. Angel confirmed that it was accurate. However, his religious order, serving the goddess Labyrinth, disagreed. Angel believed that his body was a weapon, and his weapon was a part of his body. When wielding his body, there should be no distinction. Therefore, after extensive research, he was able to develop the Eric Weapon Arts in the Labyrinth. Its effects were a complete combination of all the basic skills and damage based on the total attack value of all outfitted equipment. TaeSan was surprised to hear this and asked Steinsel for confirmation to ascertain if he had truly mentioned a total attack. Steinsel noticed with pleasure that he seemed to have understood the concept properly. He explained that if he had a +20 sword and +50 gauntlets, no matter what he used to strike it would utilize 70 as its attack ties, and asked Angel in surprise if this could mean that the range of use was broadened. Angel confirmed his assumption, explaining that It affected not only in his weapons, but every part of his body, even if he slapped with his hands, tackled using his shoulders, or kicked with his feet, they would all use 70 as the attack value. TaeSan smiled, realizing that this essentially meant his entire body was a weapon. With the Iraq weapon arts, he could equip all of the equipment that had been previously dismissed as useless. He knew that currently it might not hold much value, but as he progressed through the labyrinth and earned higher ranking equipment, that skill would hold the value of a main skill. He told Angel that it was an amazing skill and smiled, expressing his desire to acquire the Eric's skill. Heinzel told him that this might not be shocking to him, who had already endured so much, but for ordinary adventurers it was a skill that they couldn't achieve even with a lifetime of effort. He then asked TaeSan if he wanted to learn it, to which TaeSan nodded and replied affirmatively, surprising Angel with his unhesitating response. Angel placed his hand on his shoulder, instructing him to relax his entire body. He explained that this skill was different from others because it was one he had personally created and learned through his own experience, therefore he could transfer referred to him quite easily. Moreover, his proficiency was 100%, so TaeSan could acquire it without enduring any pain. The system notified him that the basic skills, shield arts and swordsmanship, had been combined with Iraq weapon arts. He was amazed to feel an influx of diverse skills and information, and couldn't believe that he could acquire a skill so easily. A minute later, the system informed him that he had received a skill from the creator of the Iraq weapon arts. He received an ultimate rank skill, Eric weapon arts. Iraq weapon arts proficiency was at 1%. It was an art that used his weapons and body, but since he was still not proficient, there would be losses in applying power. Einsel searched for something while advising him to train regularly without skipping a day until he became proficient with it. Then Einsel handed him a faded ring with an attack value of +1. It was a ring that had been used for a long time, and it seemed to have had great value. Initially, Angel apologized for its diminished power, but he wore it, assuring Angel that it was enough. He knew that in the past he might have discarded it as something useless, but now that ring held the same value as the rusty sword. Angel told him that he had given him everything he wanted to, but felt a bit of regret because he couldn't go into great detail at that moment. Angel then eagerly suggested that they spar, asking if he should give his newly learned skill a test run before trying it out for real. He summoned his shield and assured Einsel that he had no reason to refuse. They faced each other in silence for a moment before Einsel swiftly charged at him to attack. However, unlike before, he faced Angel with a confident smile on his face. He knew that in the labyrinth their evaluation was based on all of the actions they took, no matter how insignificant the room was. If they thoroughly searched and found something, their detection proficiency would increase. Moreover, if they continuously block their opponent's attacks, the proficiency of their shield arts would rise. Thus, a fight with someone strong held significance. Later, he was down on the ground, exhausted. He wondered if they had sparred for 2 whole days. He opened his newly obtained skill, battle persistence, with a proficiency of 3%. This skill allowed him to maintain combat for a long duration, and without getting overly fatigued. He was thankful for this skill because it would enable him to battle as rank monsters for several days straight. He knew that he could only receive it while fighting other players, so he had given up on acquiring, and in solo mode. Suddenly Angel mentioned that he couldn't believe he had obtained a skill and sense that wasn't typical for an adventurer on only the first floor, as he had initially thought Angel was indeed adept at discerning people's abilities. Heinzel then asked TaeSan how it was, and if it was enough. He sat up and replied that it was. Angel expressed satisfaction and pleaded with him to promise 2 things. Angel told him that since he had also learned the Iraq weapon arts, he could teach it to someone else. However, if that someone was a worthless, pathetic person, he absolutely must not teach them. If he broke that rule, Angel would personally kill him. He calmly acknowledged and agreed to this condition. Angel then asked him for the second promise if he discovered any information about Lady Levianoff. He should inform Angel, however. He told Angel that the chances of meeting him again in the labyrinth were very low. Angel agreed, stating that he didn't hold high expectation stations, he just hoped for a miracle. TaeSan pondered whether he should inform Angel. He thought that if Angel found the goddess, either Levianoff wouldn't have died, or both Angel and Levianoff would perish there, hence, unless a significant variable occurred before Angel found her, Levianoff would inevitably be killed by someone. This posed a dilemma for him. He asked Angel if he wanted to know the location of the goddess he loved. Angel softly replied that finding her was his final wish. Then he told Angel that he knew where Lady Levianoff, the goddess, was. Upon hearing this, Angel was stunned and shocked. Angel stood up and asked him what he had said. He replied that he knew where the goddess Levianoff was. But Angel angrily told him that he was taking his joke too far. Angel explained to him that he had roamed the entire labyrinth for a long time, but he had never been able to find even a hint of his goddess, so he asked TaeSan how he, who had just entered the first floor, could know where Levianoff was. TaeSan realized that Angel didn't believe him, but he knew that it was a natural reaction. Still, he had thought of a response to it as well. He told Angel that he could trust him and explained that his world had an item related to the labyrinth. Unfortunately, Angel told him that it was a lie because the labyrinth didn't have any maps related to itself, but TaeSan explained to Angel that it was not a map related to the entire labyrinth, but a map connected to a special existence. Angel was surprised to hear this because he knew it was true, and he asked TaeSan if the god-calling flute was in his world. He replied yes, and explained that there was an item they could obtain within the labyrinth that told them the location of a god his family had information on it, and he had already memorized the locations of all the gods written in there. He remembered TaeSan put something on the table and told him to look at it because she couldn't just not tell anyone about it. She explained that it was an item she had barely gotten on floor 89, but there was no point in using it as the gods were all so horrible, just laughing at her. This made him ask her if she was complaining again. He thought it was just useless information back then, but he didn't expect to use it in a situation like that. Then he told Angel that on floor 78 at the Library of All in the 24th secret room, the goddess Levianoff was there. Angel was surprised and tearfully realized that he hadn't been able to check the library at all. He told Angel that with this information he thinks he has repaid him, but Angel grabbed his shoulder and happily told him that he had repaid him more than enough. He looked at his shoulder and saw that Angel was firmly grabbing him while expressing his gratitude and stating that he had never been more thankful to someone else in his life. Angel also told him that he was indebted to him. He told Angel that he was hurting his shoulder, and Angel immediately jumped backward, apologizing because he couldn't hold back for a moment. He asked Angel if he was thinking of going right away, and Angel replied that it would be a little difficult as floor 78 was quite deep in a dangerous place even for him, so he would need to prepare thoroughly. Angel tearfully thanked him once again from the bottom of his heart and told him that it was hard to even convey it with words. Angel thought for a moment and told him that he wanted to repay him somehow. Then Angel gave him a bronze ring and explained that it would be good for a skilled individual like himself. It was a bronze ring with health plus 20. It looked like a ring that would be handed to a priest of a religion that had currently gone extinct, and only one person had it. He wore it and was amazed because he would have needed to get to floor 30 on easy mode for an item like it. Angel explained to him that normally he wouldn't have given it to an adventurer on the first floor, but he felt like he was not a lazy man and he hoped that he wouldn't regret it. He told Angel not to worry because he wouldn't have time to laze around. Angel was relieved to hear it and told him that he would go and prepare himself. This made him ask Angel if he was thinking of going down. Angel replied that he had finally found a clue, so he couldn't bear to dawdle. He thanked him once again and told him that they should see each other again. Angel jumped happily while telling his goddess that he was coming. The last one to remember her was coming for her. Then Angel left the Spring of Life, happily leaving TaeSan alone. TaeSan wondered if Angel would be able to find the goddess, and if he did, would Levinov still be alive, or would the goddess have already died? But he thought in any case it would be a very long time before he met Angel again later. He stepped on a big rat while saying that after going around floor 1 for a while, his dexterity was currently 25, so catching a big rat was getting pretty easy for him. He activated his increased soul quality, but the system told him that the difference between his and his target's soul quality was too high, so he couldn't gain anything from the target. He realized that it didn't keep growing if the difference was too big, and he thought it was unfortunate, but he expected it. He walked away thinking that he had grown all he could on floor 1, so he should start heading to floor 2 soon, but before that he had somewhere he needed to go inside the labyrinth. There were secret rooms, each floor had one hidden on it, and great rewards were given to those who found them. Magic staves, a ring of levitation, permanent stat increases, potions, and so on items that gave a huge advantage as they went through the labyrinth, but only one person could enter the secret room, so the competition was severe and easy mode. It relied more on luck and experience than skill. However, he was in solo mode, and in that place he would be able to obtain all the secret rooms. He opened the secret room door, wondering if the layout would be the same. He knew that the labyrinth map differed depending on the difficulty, but the general structure was the same, so all the secret rooms had a commonality. He went inside and was confident that it was there. There was only one entrance, and the inside was an empty room, a room with no purpose for existing, and so it got ignored by many players. That was why secret rooms existed in places like it. He searched the wall and tapped on it because he knew it was an ordinary brick without any special properties, so just going around tapping them would give him the highest chance of finding the room, meaning it was just going to take some time. When he saw the right spot, he pulled out the bricks, pressing, turning, and pulling them continuously. He thought it was fun compared to the room where he couldn't do anything but survive for a week. Also, because of his continuous pulling out of the bricks, his detection proficiency increased by 5%. Eventually, he discovered the secret room. The system told him that he was the first to discover the secret room, so he obtained the title of adventurer, and his intelligence had permanently increased. By 3, he saw the treasure chest of the secret room. At the end of the room, he looked around and thought that he could just run over and open it, but he knew that there was no way it would be that easy. He entered the room and saw a big rat sleeping. He stepped on it and grabbed it by the tail, then slammed it hard on the ground. He looked closer and saw that the big rat had pressed down some tiles. Then it got hit by an arrow. He realized that it was an arrow trap, and as he expected of floor 1, it didn't look to be a difficult trap. He walked toward the press tile and pressed it down. An arrow attacked him from behind, but he caught it with his hand. He cast it aside, knowing that currently he was abnormally stronger than most players on floor 1, so he could do it if he concentrated enough. Then he jumps into the trap tiles and catches the arrows that attack him. He gets down while the arrow is flying from behind him, but avoids it. Realizing that it is getting more difficult, he steps onto the other trap, thinking that it would be a waste to buy arrows at the shop, so getting them there for free isn't nothing. While he is catching the arrows attacking him from the side, the arrows are poison arrows with an attack +2 and paralysis arrow attack +2. However, the arrows may fail to defend depending on their stats and level. He looks at the arrows and thinks that there are some weird ones. He looks back and puts the arrow in his inventory while planning to go again from the first trap. The arrows continuously attack him from different directions, but he just catches them easily, and he thinks it is technically an exploit, but it works pretty well. He put his arrows again in his inventory and sees in his inventory that he has stored 100 arrows, making him wonder if 100 should be enough, but he decides that he should get the main dish. He focuses on where the chest is and jumps toward it. He gets down thinking that if he was hoping just to break through, he can just block the arrows with the tower shield and run, but it is the labyrinth, and he knows that he needs to show a perfect process. The arrows flew towards him. He kicks to break 1 and 2 arrows. Then he catches the 3rd and 4th arrows, and finally he blocks the final arrow. He steps on the 9th brick, and 9 more arrows are fired at him. He activates his unbreathing attack while running, which frees him from breathing for 10 seconds, and his clear view proficiency increases by 2%. He jumps to face the arrows, but sees that 3 arrows are coming from the front, 2 from the left, 3 from the right, and 1 from below. He knows that it will be difficult to dodge all of them, so he heightens his senses, and as a result, he obtains the continuous conditional activation skill improved sense. He breaks 1 of the arrows and breaks 3 more, leaving 5 arrows left. 1 of the arrows is in front of him, making him activate his deflect, but it turns around and hits him from his ass, damaging him by 8. Still, he breaks it, leaving 4 arrows left. He meets the 4 arrows, knowing that he can handle that much damage, and thanks to ignoring that arrow with skill, he has more freedom in his movement. When the arrows was about to hit him, he realized that the trajectory of the remaining arrows is the same. Then he catches one of the arrows